Welcome back to my channel Celebuzz. Please share and subscribe and press the bell icon for new updates. Hey everyone. Today we're talking about Don Cornelius, the man who made Soul Train. He died in Los Angeles when he was 75 years old. It was really sad. Soul Train wasn't just any TV show. It was the show. Picture this. Bright lights, awesome dance moves, and the best music ever. Every weekend, families would sit down to watch it together. But here's the thing. Behind all those smiles and cool dances, there were some big problems. There was one crazy moment that the people making the show never wanted anyone to see. Some people think it helped destroy the show. So what really happened? Why did the show get canceled? And what was this secret moment they tried to hide? Let's find out. Back in the 1960s in Chicago, there were some small dance shows on TV. One had mostly black dancers, and people loved it. That's where the idea for Soul Train came from. Don Cornelius worked at a radio station in Chicago. He also threw dance parties at high schools around the city. He called these parties Soul Train because he would ride the train to different neighborhoods, bringing music with him. Don believed that black music and black people deserved to be on TV. So in 1970, Soul Train started on a small Chicago TV station. It was filmed in black and white with cheap cameras, but it had something special: heart. The first episode had Jerry Butler singing and local dancers showing off their moves. Even though it looked simple, people loved it right away. Soul Train became huge. Every Saturday, families would gather around their TVs waiting for that famous theme song. Kids would learn the dances they saw, then try them out at school dances later. The show gave black music, black fashion, and black culture a place on national TV. For the first time, black people could see themselves as the stars of the show, not just background characters. Many famous people got their start on Soul Train. Dancers like Jody Watley and Rosie Perez became big stars later. Don Cornelius was the perfect host. He was calm, cool, and smooth. He always looked like he had everything under control. When he died in 2012, fans all over the country dressed up in 70s clothes and danced to honor him. Don was from Chicago and had a really cool, deep voice. Before Soul Train, he was a radio DJ and news reporter. He also threw those high school dance parties we talked about. When the show started, it was small, just black and white TV with simple sets. But the energy was real. The dancers made every song come alive. Nelson George, who wrote a book about the show, remembered watching it as a kid in Brooklyn. He and his sister would sit in front of their small TV every Saturday. Then they'd go to school dances and try to copy all the moves they saw. The show didn't just play music. It taught people how to dress, how to dance, and even how to do their hair. The afros, the bright colors, the California style, it all came through the TV screen into homes across America. When Soul Train started in 1971, America was still dealing with big changes from the 1960s. There had been lots of protests for civil rights. Black people were fighting for equal treatment. Instead of showing pain or struggle, Soul Train showed joy and celebration. It made people feel proud and happy. It brought fun into homes that didn't always get good news. Big companies started to notice how popular the show was. They began advertising during Soul Train. For the first time, many black viewers saw commercials made just for them. Don Cornelius made it all happen with his smooth voice and cool style. He had a famous line: "Love, peace, and soul." Fans never forgot those words. The show did so well in Chicago that Don wanted to expand it. A hair care company that made Afro Sheen agreed to sponsor the show so it could be shown in other cities. At first, only 7 cities picked it up: Atlanta, Birmingham, Cleveland, Detroit, Houston, Los Angeles, and Philadelphia. But once people saw it, they couldn't get enough. By the end of the first season, 25 cities were showing Soul Train. Back then, there weren't many shows made by black people for black audiences. Soul Train was special. It gave R&B, soul, and later hip-hop artists a place to perform. When the show went national, it moved to Los Angeles. Don hosted both the Chicago and LA versions at first, but then focused only on the national one. From 1971 to 1993, Don Cornelius hosted every single episode of Soul Train except one. That one episode was hosted by Richard Pryor. But for everything else, Don was always there, smooth, calm, and in control. In the mid-1980s, a company called Tribune Entertainment took over getting the show on different TV stations. Don stayed as the host and creative leader. After 22 seasons in 1993, Don stepped away from hosting. He still worked behind the scenes, but other people became the hosts. Different celebrities tried it. Then comedians like Maestro Clark, Shamar, Moore, and Dorian Gregory. These changes gave the show a fresh feel, but some fans missed Don. He had a special way of connecting with people that was hard to replace. The dancers were what made Soul Train really special. They weren't trained professionals. They were just regular kids picked from the crowd. They brought their own moves, their own clothes, and their own spirit. These kids were from the neighborhood, kids who hung out at community centers and danced with friends. Suddenly they were on national TV showing their moves to millions of people. People would line up around the block just for a chance to be on the show. Dancer Cheryl Song said it was her way of expressing herself. "It was so freeing to be able to dance and feel the music," she said. The dancers became stars in their own right. Cheryl Song became a favorite. Her long hair almost touched the floor, and her dancing stood out every week. Viewers at home would try to copy her moves. The Soul Train stage became home to some of the greatest names in music. Aretha Franklin, James Brown, Outkast, and Mariah Carey all performed on the show. Everyone wanted to be there. The connection between dancers and musicians was real. They needed each other. The singers brought the music. The dancers brought the energy. Together they created magic. Here's a cool fact. In 1973, the Jackson 5 performed the robot dance on Soul Train. But guess what? They learned it from the Soul Train dancers. That's how close the performers and crowd were. There were unforgettable moments with artists like Marvin Gaye sitting down on stage and talking with fans like they were neighbors. And Al Green's voice was so powerful that viewers couldn't look away. By 2006, Soul Train had been on for 35 seasons. But things were changing. The show that once brought soul, R&B, and hip-hop to millions was starting to fade. The show stopped making new episodes after the 2005-2006 season. Instead, they played old clips from the 1970s and 1980s and called it The Best of Soul Train. One big problem was that fewer people were watching. The ratings dropped really low. Most stations moved the show from Saturday afternoons to late at night, making it even harder for fans to find. Then Tribune Entertainment, which helped distribute the show, shut down in 2007. This meant Soul Train had no one to help get it on TV stations. Not everything was perfect behind the scenes. Some dancers later said they weren't treated fairly. Instead of being paid money, they were given exposure and sometimes just a meal from Kentucky Fried Chicken. Dancers were often put in competition with each other just to get more time on camera. Some were pushed to fight for the best spots near the stage. There were also reports that Don Cornelius had inappropriate relationships with some dancers while he was married. This added to the controversy surrounding the show. In 1993, after more than 20 years, Don Cornelius stopped hosting Soul Train. He stayed on as executive producer, but things were different. Hip-hop had become the main sound in black music, and Don wasn't a big fan of the genre. He once told rapper Curtis Blow directly that it wasn't something he connected with. He even said groups like Public Enemy scared him. Without Don as the host, the show struggled to find its identity. Other hosts like Mistro Clark and Shamar Moore came and went, but no one stayed long enough to make the show feel the same. In 2006, Soul Train ended after 35 seasons. The spark was gone, and it was time to say goodbye. In 2008, Don Cornelius sold the rights to Soul Train to a company called Mad Vision Entertainment. They had new ideas for the show. One of the first things they did was create an official Soul Train channel on YouTube. Now fans could watch classic clips online. They also made deals to release DVDs of the show. In 2011, basketball star Magic Johnson and his partners bought Soul Train. They talked about making a movie, creating a live stage version, and even launching a cruise. The Soul Train brand lived on even after the original show ended. There were Soul Train cruises, awards shows, and reruns on different TV channels. Sadly, Don Cornelius's life didn't end well. His later years were hard. He had a difficult divorce and was struggling inside. In 2012, he took his own life at age 75. His death shocked everyone. Even his close business friends had met with him just a week before and said he seemed fine. No one saw it coming. But what Don left behind was huge. He built something that shaped culture, style, and music for over 30 years. People still remember his famous closing line, "We wish you love, peace, and soul." Soul Train proved that TV could be diverse and successful. It showcased black joy in everyday life. It wasn't just about celebrities. It was about real people dancing after a long week of work. The show gave a national stage to local talent that had never been seen before. It welcomed not just musicians, but also actors, writers, and comedians. As of 2016, BET Networks, part of Paramount Global, owns the rights to Soul Train. That includes the cruises and the annual Soul Train Music Awards. The spirit of the show continues even if the weekly episodes are long gone. Many people called Soul Train the Black American Bandstand. But Don Cornelius wanted his show to stand on its own. And it did. When Dick Clark tried to create a copycat show called Soul Unlimited in 1973, Don fought back with help from Jesse Jackson. They said Clark was trying to kill the only black-owned show on TV. The backlash worked, and ABC canceled Soul Unlimited. After just a few episodes, Soul Train survived that battle, but in the end it was time, controversy, and change that brought the original show to a stop. The question is, could a show like Soul Train happen again today? What do you think? Would kids today line up around the block to dance on a TV show, or would they rather make TikTok videos at home? One thing's for sure. Don Cornelius created something special that brought people together through music and dance, and maybe that's exactly what we need more of today. That's the story of Soul Train, a show that started small in Chicago and became a cultural phenomenon that changed TV forever. From the bright lights to the smooth moves, from the controversy to the joy, Soul Train will always be remembered as the hippest trip in America. What made Soul Train so different from other shows was how it made regular people feel like stars. Kids from the neighborhood would suddenly find themselves on TV, dancing to their favorite songs while millions of people watched from home. These weren't fancy Hollywood dancers. They were just kids who loved music and knew how to move. The show became like a big party that everyone in America was invited to watch. Don Cornelius had a special way of talking to the camera that made viewers feel like he was speaking directly to them. He never raised his voice or got excited like other TV hosts. Instead, he was calm and cool, like that friend who always knew the right thing to say. His deep voice became as famous as the music itself. When he said love, peace, and soul at the end of each show, it felt like he really meant it. The fashion on Soul Train was just as important as the music. Dancers would spend hours getting ready, picking out their best clothes and doing their hair in the latest styles. Bell-bottom pants, platform shoes, colorful shirts, and big afros were everywhere. People watching at home would see these styles and want to dress the same way. The show didn't just play music. It showed people how to look cool too. Behind the eye scenes, the show had its own special energy. Dancers would arrive early and practice their moves, teaching each other new steps and talking about which songs they hoped would be played. The studio became like a community center where young people could express themselves and feel proud of their culture. Even though they weren't getting paid much, most dancers said it was worth it just to be part of something so special. As the years went by, Soul Train helped launch the careers of many famous people. Dancers like Jody Watley went on to become singing stars. The show also gave new musicians their first chance to perform on national TV. For many R&B and soul artists, appearing on Soul Train was a dream come true. It meant they had really made it in the music business. The famous Soul Train line was one of the most exciting parts of every show. Dancers would form two lines facing each other, and then one couple at a time would dance down the middle while everyone else cheered them on. This became the most watched part of the show, and kids all over America would try to recreate it at school dances and parties. Even today, people remember Soul Train with love and respect. The show proved that black culture and music deserved to be celebrated on television. It gave young people something positive to watch and participate in during a time when there weren't many shows made just for them. Don Cornelius created more than just a TV show. He built a cultural movement that brought joy to millions of homes every Saturday afternoon.